Good day to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by 6 o'clock. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us. Our major stories tonight: natural catastrophes might be far from being over in Cameroon after the Bankolo mudslide, which killed at least 30 persons. City dwellers in Yaoundé continue to live in very risky areas. They have been informed to quit every vicinity tagged risky zones, but the people complain they have no means to relocate. We will be taking you to watch some extremely risky areas in the nation's political Yaoundé. That would be in this edition of the news. Viewers, that is our major story. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for trusting us. We begin this edition of the news here in Douala. Road users and also inhabitants of the block Bordeaux neighborhood at Cité de Palmier in the Douala 5 subdivision say the presence of a 5-meter deep slope in their neighborhood frightens the people. Our reporter Lucy Liengu Esia, who visited the neighborhoods today, quickly tells us that almost half of the road is made up of slopes, perturbing the circulation of vehicles and even putting the lives of the people at risk. Let's now have our report.
From a gutter to a narrow steep-sided valley, which is now a ravine, this is the road linking Bloc Bordeaux, Cité de Palmier in the Douala 5 subdivision to Dogbong and other neighborhoods. For over a year, this stretch has left the population in fear.
Là, le pont, la route est littéralement coupée. Et juste derrière, c'est une zone marécageuse. Imaginez-vous, si ici c'est coupé, les enfants vont traverser comment?
The wide and 5 meters deep valley has jeopardized the population, mostly children, who use the stretch on daily basis to schools around.
Il y a les enfants qui traversent par là à l'école. Il y a le monsieur, il y a les véhicules qui passent.
The gutter, which generated to a valley, was created for the flow of water. But today, almost half of the road has cracked. The locals fear, with heavy rains, in some months to come, the road might completely collapse.
S'il pleut encore comme les 2 dernières pluies, je suis sûr que ce trou va s'agrandir.
The locals say severally the quarterhead has written letters to the city mayor complaining about the situation. Agents of the Douala City Council recently descended to the field, but no works have been carried out so far.
Parce que moi j'ai vu les agents de la mairie se sont présentés, ils ont filmé, ils ont regardé. Dernièrement, le mois passé, ils sont venus ici avec leurs 70 ans ingénieurs. Ils ont filmé, ils ont interrogé les gens, ils ont regardé partout.
Equally meeting the quarterhead, he told us that there is a project for the construction of this stretch, but till date has been lying on the table of the city mayor.
Et le maire m'a répondu que tous ces 2 dossiers sont au niveau de la mairie de la ville.
As days goes by, the population continue to live in horror. They call on authorities to help them rehabilitate the stretch so as to save lives.
In a similar report, we take you now to the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. We told in the headlines that despite the evacuation order of the senior divisional officer for the Mfundi division, inhabitants of Ibama in the Ngusu neighborhood of Yaoundé say they do not have the means to relocate to safer areas. Experts say the area faces the risk of an imminent collapse, which could be very catastrophic, like what happened in Bankolo. For me, Armstrong Sander tells us more.
This is the area concerned by the evacuation order signed by Njigden Emmanuel, Senior Divisional Officer for the Mfundi Division of the Central Region of Cameroon. We are at a place known as Ibrama in the Ngusu neighborhood of the city of Yaoundé. In the order released on October the 13th, 2023, the Senior Divisional Officer said that houses on this area were exposed to a serious risk of landslide because they are planted on a slope presenting signs of an imminent collapse. He then called on them to evacuate under the escort of the forces of law and order.
We are still looking for a place to go to.
Quand l'écroulement va venir de là-bas, ça va venir écraser ces enfants.
On the scene, the message of the Senior Divisional Officer seemed to have fallen on deaf ears as local inhabitants show no sign of evacuating.
The situation now is that we have to move out of this place. So we are searching where to go to because it's not easy. The problem is to look for a house to stay now because money also, because looking for a house here is not easy.
Like the case of Ibama in Gusu in Yaoundé, houses on this section of Pakovita in the Bonamusa, the neighborhoods of the Douala 5 municipality, poses a veritable risk of an imminent landslide.
Now we talk about the strike of truck transporters in Cameroon. While some transporter trade unionists have suspended their strike action, others continue mounting pressure on the government of Cameroon to solve the multiple plights or problems of transporters, the problems they are facing in the country. They express concerns over government's failed promises. Babila Jonathan has details in the report which comes up next.
Nous redonnons encore une nouvelle confiance.
Once more, we trust our government that continues deceiving us, but it should be known that all people cannot be deceived forever.
Bientôt, ça pourra mettre fin si les choses ne sont pas réglées.
A transporters trade union leader warns that what he calls government's deception will surely end someday if problems are not solved.
Le mot d'ordre de grève est levé à compter de maintenant.
After discussions between the Minister of Territorial Administration and leaders of the Confederation of Transport Unions of Cameroon brought the announced strike action to temporary rest, another threat of civil disobedience in the same sector is on the table of the Prime Minister and authorities of the littoral region. The trade unionists are saying there is a high risk of social unrest linked to the bad state of roads, notably National Road Number 5, linking the economic capital Douala and the West Regional Headquarters Bafoussam.
Les syndicalistes basés dans la région du littoral ont porté un préavis de grève.
Trade unionists in the littoral region have sent a strike notice to the Prime Minister and other authorities, including the governor of the littoral region, asking for an unconditional suspension of the toll gates in Manengole, in Manjo, and Moyuka in Banga in the Mongo division.
For the same problem,
les gens se plaignent, les gens grondent. Il y a la tension qui monte tous les jours.
People are complaining. Tension is rising every day. You collect 500 francs every day, but the road is in an advanced state of dilapidation.
Nous avons toujours l'état des routes tellement mauvais.
We have been paying for decades, but the bad state of the roads is killing our members and damaging vehicles. The roads are killing Cameroonians every day.
They are also pressing for the suspension of some taxes paid by transporters in Douala until the state of roads in the town is improved.
And now let's talk about the International Day for the Rural Woman. To ensure a sustainable food supply in large quantities across Cameroon, especially in the west region of the country, the women of the aucun division, precisely those in Bafang, call on the government to subsidize agricultural production. The rural women of that division expressed their worry during the commemoration of the International Day for the Rural Woman. The women were also drilled on basic skills on how to empower each other. As Mala Glory tells us in the report, it comes up next.
The roasting of fish and beef was a training offered to the rural women of aucun division, West Region. This was part of activities marking the International Day of Rural Women on October 15 on the theme Strengthening the Contribution of Rural Women to Sustainable Food System and Trade. We have been trained on how to roast mudfish, catfish and tilapia, even without seasoning cubes, because it's more sweeter. A 7-day training that aimed at empowering the aucun women and to make them independent. The event at the ceremonial ground of Banker Subdivision was in the presence of the representative of the senior divisional officer and other local administrators.
Cela veut simplement dire que si nous réussissons donc à autonomiser donc les femmes.
If we are able to empower these women, they'll take care of their families and the society as well.
Ils devront donc contrôler donc la société. Et par ailleurs, nous pouvons les rassurer, nous l'avons fait dans notre discours, de la sollicitude constante.
We can assure them that despite the difficulties they face, the government authorities are there to assist them.
Pouvoir compter sur elles pour un développement durable, comme l'indique le thème de cette 28e édition, femmes rurales et économie verte.
Aside agriculture, the rural women of Aucun Division, West Region also carry out pisciculture and craft work. Though producing on small scale, they wish to produce on large scale quantity if they receive government subsidies.
In other news, the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions has left so many children orphans as their parents die daily in the separatist and military crossfire. Most of these orphans are today homeless and school dropouts, a pathetic situation to Dr. Barrister Nkamwa Limen, who took upon himself to put a smile on the faces of such underprivileged kids by building them a foster home in the Douala 5 subdivision. Innocent Aze with the details.
In one of his 2023 situation report, OCHA, United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, estimated more than 6,000 people have been killed in the northwest and southwest regions since 2016, leaving thousands of children motherless and fatherless. Many have dropped out of school and living a miserable life. Others are homeless, especially in receiving cities. As the persistent crisis continues to give birth to orphans, softer souls like Dr. Barrister Nkamwa Limen desire absorbing them in a foster home in Makepe, Douala 5 subdivision.
Any other children, orphans, we are open to receive them. We give priority to those children who are victims of the crisis. And we are calling on people from the northwest and southwest who have these children they cannot take care of to reach us, and we can take care of those children.
Up to 50 orphans will be privileged to be part of the Happy Kids Home, recently inaugurated.
They still can take up to 50, but want to limit at 10 to give them the best for now. We can start receiving children.
The foster home, to the memory of late Professor Michael Akomaye Yanu, is a fruit of a covenant with God.
For about 8 years, 9 years, we've been struggling to have a child, and we did in vitro twice. We took all kinds of medications you can imagine. It didn't work, but that December that I started the foundation, we had a miraculous son without any medication, and so God is real. My childhood was not very pleasant. When I went back to school, I told God that if I graduate, if I become a lawyer, I'm going to build a foster home, an orphanage, and that is what I've just realized today.
It's a dream fulfilled. He wanted this to be something like an offer that is giving, and he really feels the pain on all the financial aspects. So we give God the glory.
Here, orphans will be able to live like other children and continue their education for a brighter future.
As students of the University of Douala are lamenting over the poor state of roads leading to the PK14 campus, according to them, they are now forced to pay exorbitant fare, making life a lot more difficult for their parents. They are urging concerned authorities to address their plight. The distress call comes few days after one of their lecturers was killed after a container fell on her on that road stretch. Immaculate Fogwe reports.
A queue of students of the PK14 campus of the University of Douala desperately waiting for a motorcycle that can take them back home. Tired of waiting for long hours, the students have no other choice than to climb on this heavy-duty truck. This is how most students of the University of Douala get to school every morning. Their choice stems from the fact that taxi owners avoid using the Picker-14 Vent-to-Earn stretch of road due to its muddy and slippery nature. The few motorcycles that ply the stretch demand exorbitant fares from the students. Bikes are scarce. The few available ones ask for huge amounts. From Picker-14 to the university campus, they ask us to pay 700 francs. The roads are very bad. Even water isn't available on campus.
Coming here is not easy, even for students, even for workers, because the road is not accessible for anyone.
The situation has greatly affected the performance of students, as many arrive very late on campus and are forced to sit on the bare floor to receive lectures. When it rains, a lot of accidents are recorded. Some other days there is traffic congestion. A lot of us arrive campus at 9 a.m. and it is very late. According to the students, their parents are finding it hard to meet up with the amount demanded by the drivers. We prefer climbing on these heavy-duty trucks because it is free of charge. The amount given to us by our parents is not enough. It should be recalled that a few days ago, a teacher of the University of Douala gave up the ghost after a container that was found on a trailer fell on her.
Out of our national frontiers, we talk about the Israeli-Palestinian war, which is taking away the lives of so many persons. Survivors say they are now stranded. Over 600 persons now stay in the same house. Cedric Chakutio now has our foreign page roundup.
In the Israel-Hamas fight, UNICEF announced humanitarian delivery to the population of Gaza Strip. Several flights will take place to Egypt to deliver vital supplies to humanitarian organizations on the ground. Furthermore, faced with the scale of the situation, Europe promised earlier on Monday to open a humanitarian air corridor to the Gaza Strip, stating that its inhabitants could not pay the price of Hamas' barbarity. On the other side, President Joe Biden will visit Israel this Wednesday.
On Wednesday, President Biden will visit Israel. President Biden will underscore our crystal clear message to any actor, state or non-state, trying to take advantage of this crisis to attack Israel. Don't.
U.S. President will make a solidarity visit after deadly Hamas attack which sparked a continuous war. According to Israeli army, 199 people were captured by the Palestinian Islamist movement Hamas during the October 7th attack. A military spokesman assured that the army and Israel are working day and night to free them, while the families have no news and are on the verge of despair. For many, an exchange of prisoners is necessary. For now, according to a previous report, more than 1,400 people were killed in Israel and 344 are still in hospital after attacks.
And now we talk sports, viewers. Sports analysts blamed the lack of seriousness from the old players in the Lions Den to be the cause of the poor results recorded recently by the national team. George Mbimbe has also tasked the technical staff to quickly search for a defensive player before the AFCON. Smart Jikan Gabriel is a sportsman.
A goal from Sadio Mane at the 34th minute of play from a penalty spot after Omar Gonzalez's error on Kalidou Koulibaly saw the indomitable Lions of Cameroon losing to the Teranga Lions by 0-1 in their second friendly match of the FIFA break. A sport journalist blamed some players for the defeat. The first to be held accountable for the poor performance are the players, because they betrayed the confidence the coach placed on them. When we see the performance of Karl Toko Ekambi and that of team captain Vincent Aboubakar, who didn't take the game seriously as they used to play. The sports analyst also believes it's high time the technical staff also acts sporadically when the game isn't playing the way they want it. The technical staff also needs to be more exigent on itself. We saw that the match against Senegal, they waited so long before they could do substitution. True that during the second half, they came with an offensive mindset, but the players were not able to play the style imposed by Senegal. The Senegal versus Cameroon match was the 16th for Rigobert Song since he took up duties as the head coach. Out of the 16 matches, Song has recorded 4 wins against 5 drawn games and 7 defeats.
Thank you, Smart. Sad Reports brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Viewers, don't go away. Talking Point comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Today we will be talking health. Our health is our real health. We will be talking with an ophthalmologist, Dr. Our take home will be talking how to take care of our sight. Doctor, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points tonight. Like I mentioned, we are talking about how to take care of our eyes. You are an ophthalmologist. Can you tell us what are some of those eye infections or visual problems that you diagnose on a daily basis in your clinic?
Good evening. Thanks for inviting me on your TV, Equinoxe television. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to share my experience with you. Some of the common eye infections we diagnose in the hospitals on days like these are things really you may not really know, but very common things in the community. Like people come here because they notice they have itchy eyes, and it could just simply be an allergic conjunctivitis. There are people who come because they have very poor sight, and they have noticed recently, mostly people above the age of 40 could be suffering from things like presbyopia, refractive errors for young children as well who have blurred vision in classrooms and maybe needing glasses, with diagnose cataract, and other conditions like what is known glaucoma, which is an eye condition whereby someone only notices losing sight without any pain or any symptom. We also we come across other things also like diabetic retinopathy in patients who are non-diabetic patients, and equally come across other conditions. For the other very rare conditions, we also find in children, those who really start having eyes that get lazy because they have had those conditions from long, and this is called amblyopia.
Now, Dr. Tekom, why does it seem like nowadays people suffer a lot from visual impairment or eye defect? What can be some of the reasons?
The reason why there are several eye infections lately, I will talk most especially about the current situation in our community, in our society. We have mostly people suffering from what is called digital eye strain, digital equipment nowadays, whether we talk of phones, we talk of computers, we talk of tablet, what is called tablet. And so many people suffer from headaches, eye pain, and this is because of hours most people spend in front of these digital devices. There are other conditions also that people are suffering nowadays. You may not really notice at the beginning because it comes very silently, and so many people go about their activities not knowing that they are already suffering from it, and it's just by a simple screening as we have today that they just discover that they have been so much affected and the eye is almost going blind.
And now, Dr. Joyce, what about statistics? Do you have specific number of persons who suffer from eye defects or visual impairment from your everyday experiences in the hospital?
Well, the statistics in our community at times is not so well cleared off because of the lack of enough data, enough research that is being done. A great number of our community, as the few statistics that have been done, like here in Douala, about 8% of the people have been seen to have glaucoma. In some hospitals, in hospital-based prevalence have been done. And so we think that the statistics is quite high for a community like Douala.
Now let's talk about this issue which affects an average Cameroonian, the use of screens, be it telephone screens or computer screens. How do those screens, their usage of screens on a daily basis, affect our eyes gradually negatively? And what advice can you give to those who make use of screens on an everyday basis?
The stress it gives our eyes can lead to visual and eye problems. Visual problems which can be blurred vision, at times double vision, and also the eye problems which can either itchy eyes because the patient will be getting dry eyes. You can also have tearing eyes. You can also go right to the point of giving the patient headaches, and all this is going to really affect the patient's daily activity. So the only advice I can give is to find a way to reduce this stress, because we are actually living in an age where most people have really no choice with regards maybe to their jobs, to their schoolwork. but they ought to use this device in order to meet up. And so there are ways of reducing that stress on the eye, because it's just a digital eye strain which they are getting. And so one of the ways that I would advise at this point is, when you're using maybe your phone for such long periods or your computers, once in a while you can do the 20-20-20 rule, whereby the person stops for about 20 minutes, takes a 20 seconds break, and looks at least 20 feet ahead, about 6 meters, that's the same, about 6 meters ahead.
That rule should be strictly respected. Doc, you're talking about the 20-20 rule. What is its positive effects? Can you explain further?
This will enable the eye at least to get itself more relaxed. Or once in a while you're using your phone or your laptop, you can try to do conscious blinking in order to get your eyes always moist, because dry eyes you may come across dry eyes because of the continuous concentration, the strain you're putting on the eye. Equally, you can reduce even the light on your phone. You can either reduce the light on your laptop to reduce that stress from your eyes, or you also can use your prescribed glasses, because your glasses will help control the problem of stress on your eye, because with your glasses you are going to be able to see clearly what you're seeing rather than strain your eyes. And another point, you can modify the light in the room in which you're working, because either excess light or too reduced light is also a stress to the eyes. Or the height of your computer, don't put it too close to your eyes, maybe at a certain distance. All these are the little things that we can modify, because we are actually living in an age where most people's activities is geared with cell phones and laptops. They just have to find means to reduce the symptoms.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joyce Tekom, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight, and hope to have you some other time, just to remind our viewers that you are an ophthalmologist. And viewers, thank you so much for your usual confidence and trust. Don't go away, our programs continue. The news in the French language at 8 p.m. with Julian Besbisai, and in about 30 minutes or so, Serge Halegotu will be in the studio for your favorite program, Equinoxe. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television, and bye-bye for now. See you again tomorrow.